Hello, welcome to the Echo Coffee Company. Throughout the presentation, you're going to be hearing from all of our team members who helped conceptualize, design, and deploy our full stack application. My name is Tyler Kendall, a United States Navy veteran transitioning into software development. I worked on aspects of the front-end functionality and stylization in our group project. Our team's objective was to create an interactive, community-based application that can be integrated into different projects by other developers. We're going to segue straight into our demo on our interactive application so you can see how that can be used by the users.
Hi, and thank you for coming to our graduation for the Echo Platoon cohort. My name is Philip Basti, and I am a Marine veteran as an aviation ordnance technician for 8 years before transitioning through Code Platoon to become a full stack software engineer. Today, I am going to be going over a demo for our project, the Echo Coffee Company, which is an application designed for coffee enthusiasts to be able to share information about coffees they enjoy. We aim to create a platform where users could add favorite coffees and interact with user profiles and contribute their own coffee data to this site. During the development of this project, we encountered many challenges, which we will get to later, but one that I will bring up right now was our API. We had issues with getting a good API with good high quality images. We came up with a solution to that problem by creating our own API. When doing so, we realized that we were in a unique position to share our application not only as an app, but also to allow other developers or anybody interested in using our application as an API to do so. So without further ado, I will show the demo for our project. As a user, the first page that you will be greeted with when coming to our application is our login/signup page. Our Django backend utilizes Django's built-in authentication system to help us with authenticating users for our application. I have already created an account, so to save time, we're just going to log in. And you can notice that we get routed to our About page immediately, which has some backstory about the Echo Coffee Company and also includes some of our endpoints and some information for using our API, which we will cover later in another demo. Here in our profile page, we can see our profile information and update our profile information on this page. When a user first signs up, they will not have a profile picture and they will not have any information about them, but they can simply update it on this form. And I'm going to change this to a picture of my cat just to demonstrate that it works and is updating properly, and notice that it also updates the avatar picture as well. The next thing I would like to show is our coffee page. Is all of the available coffees in our database and any related reviews that users have added to those coffees. Up at the top of our page, we have a search bar that will allow users to search for a specific coffee, and our new coffee form, which will allow a user to add a coffee to the database. And once we fill this out and choose our image, we are going to search it just to demonstrate that working. And now if we search Luwak, we can see that we've got our new coffee here. We can go ahead and add it to our favorites. Mentioned reviews. All of the coffees on our coffee page can be given a review by a user. If a user wants to see what reviews are already on a coffee, they can simply click See Reviews and all of the reviews will be displayed. A review will contain a user's username, the rating given to the coffee, and the content of the review. Additionally, a like button is included to allow users to show their support or that they agree with certain reviews, and they can just as easily unlike that if they clicked it by mistake. Now, if a user wishes to add a review, they can simply click our Add Review button and fill out their review information. Notice when we gave the coffee a bad review, it changed its overall rating. This is because this overall rating is calculated from an average of all of the reviews that a coffee has. Now, if we wanted to change our review, notice that our Add Review button is now an Edit Review button. And so we'll have two options, which will be to write a new review or to remove it completely. And notice when we gave it a very high review, it similarly affected the rating. And just to demonstrate one more time, we will delete this. And when we remove our review, as expected, the rating returns to what it started as. The last thing to talk about on our coffee page is our favorites button. A user can click the favorites button to add a coffee to their favorites list. And similarly, if they decide that a coffee no longer should be on their favorites list, or they clicked it on accident, they can just as easily remove it by clicking it again. And you might be wondering where we would find our favorites, and that will be on our favorites page. You might expect the favorites page contains all of the coffees that a user has favorited on the coffee page. When a user visits their favorites page, they'll be able to see all of the reviews on their favorite coffees by clicking the review button. If they want to remove a favorite from their favorites list, they can simply click the remove button. And lastly, our likes button will display the total number of likes that a coffee has received, but also a list of usernames that contributed towards those likes. With this information, a user can utilize our search bar at the top of the page to get a look at another user's favorites list. When we search a user, we are brought to a page that displays their profile information as well as their favorites list. Notice that the delete or remove button is not there because this is not our favorites list. We can get back to our favorites list just by navigating up at the top through our app bar again. Last page is our contact page, of course, where we have displayed our GitHub and LinkedIn information as well as a brief description about ourselves and provided a way to contact us. And that concludes the demo presentation of Cofffee Company. Thank you so much, and let me know if you have any questions. Hi, and thank you for coming to
Good morning. My name is Corey Sullivan. I'm a U.S. Army veteran, and I'll be discussing our challenges. Our first challenge was our big dreams, small team. Namely that we wanted to create a tea and coffee app, and we had a lot of other goals for creating an app that could do lots of different things. We decided to create just a coffee app for the time being. As Tyler mentioned, we had a lot of issues identifying an appropriate API, an API that had acceptable image qualities, that had an acceptable database of teas and coffees. And we resolved that by creating our own API for coffee. We also began one for tea, but we did not implement that just to avoid scope creep in the project. And another issue for us was the communications and working in Git, mainly getting used to working in the Git workflow. And in the communications were the usual communications that come from establishing a team and getting to know each other and working together. And we resolved those very effectively over time, as well as we got used to working in the Git workflow.
All right, so you've heard enough about the API. It's time to show you how users and developers can interact with this API. Hello, and welcome to our API demo. In order for your users to get started using our API, there are 2 post requests you will have to make first. The first one is going to be your user's username and password. With this post request, when it's sent through, your user is now registered for our API use. But you still need to fetch their token. So again, pass their username and password through again to this endpoint up here. And you have acquired their token. Let's go ahead and grab that. All of the following endpoints are going to require you to pass your user's token inside of the headers of the request. In the key, you are going to enter the string authorization, and for the value, you're going to put token, and we'll go ahead and paste your user's token in there. The first request we're going to hit is this GET request. It's going to fetch all of our Cofffee data that exists in our database. We'll come down here, go ahead and shrink the reviews for better viewing, and you'll see that our Cofffee object starts with the ID. It has the list of reviews, the name of the coffee, the description of the coffee, its picture, caffeine content, and the rating of the coffee. If we go ahead and expand the reviews, you're going to see that we first get the ID of the user that made the review, that user's username, who liked that user's review, and what he decided to say for the review. The user is also able to leave a rating on the coffee, and it ties in with the coffee ID, and that's what that ID number 1 is. All of our data is going to be returned to you as JSON, but for a better viewing experience, we've decided to visualize it in this table. So up here you will have your coffee, and then down below you're going to have your users and their various reviews, along with their ratings and tying it into the coffee. Our next endpoint will allow your user to submit a post request to submit a new coffee to our database. The user will be able to submit their own pictures from local storage, so you just want to make sure you implement that feature. Let's go ahead and choose a picture for our new coffee. You can go ahead and hit the post request, and you're going to see that our new coffee, Turk Cofffee, was saved. It's now time for the user to get interactive. They can place reviews on any coffee. Let's go ahead and take a look at the body for this one. So to pass a review to a coffee, we're going to need that coffee ID. They can go ahead and put what they want their review to be, and they need to assign a rating to the review. Let's go ahead and grab that new coffee ID that we just created. We'll come back here, go ahead and fetch all of our coffees, scroll down to the bottom, and grab our Turk Cofffee's ID. Alright, with our coffee ID, we can go ahead and insert that. That's something that you'll just want to pass through on whatever coffee they are reviewing. They can go ahead and submit their review with their rating. Let's go ahead and pull up our visualizer, and you'll see that our Turk Cofffee now has 1 review from demo account 1. But whoops, it seems I have made a mistake and a misspelling. Not to worry, we also have the ability to edit our reviews. Let's come over here, and all we are going to have to do is repass the coffee ID, the ID of the review, the new rating they want to do, and any corrections or any new reviews they want to make. Let's start by inserting that new coffee ID on that review. We'll come back here, make sure we grab that review ID, which will be 71, place that into our PK field here. And now we can go ahead and do this put request, and you'll see that our demo account 1 has submitted a new review and has that spelling mistake fixed. That concludes our demo. Remember, when implementing the API for yourself, all of our documentation is available on our interactive application. Enjoy the rest of our presentation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our presentation. My name is Mine Gilden. I am an Air Force veteran and a software engineer. So I'll talk to you today about the tech stack that we chose. We chose this tech stack because we wanted it to be responsive, robust, and scalable. But most importantly, we knew we needed lots of documentation as beginning software engineers. So all of the different technologies that we chose have lots and lots of documentation, and this is how we were able to build such a robust and responsive application. So the first bucket is our front end, which we built with React. And we utilized that to create the responsiveness that you saw. So the demonstration that Philip did was basically this bucket. The frameworks that we use, or the libraries that we use for styling, were Bootstrap and Material UI. The back end, we utilized Django to create the REST API. So the presentation you just saw by Tyler was a demonstration of the REST API that we created with that Django REST framework. We use PostgreSQL to store our information. And if you paid attention to Philip's presentation and noticed that he was at a URL, that's because we deployed our application on a EC2 instance, and all of our entire application is also Dockerized so that it can be deployed not in just a local environment, but in multiple environments. So that wraps up for our tech stack. And if you have any questions, you can shoot them our way. Thank you.
Where is Echo Cofffee Company headed? There's a few things we want to do moving forwards in the future. One of those being to enhance our coffee objects. That way we can allow for precise filtering. We also want to have personalized coffee and later down the road tea recommendations based on user preferences. We hope to be able to push users directly to outside sources or allow them purchase these coffees in-app. We want to include some tutorials on high-end coffee brew methods and styles, as well as a virtual coffee shop simulation with live interactive rooms for multiple users. We hope in the later days that we can do some seamless integration of tea objects at the same level as our coffee features. If you have any questions, now's the time.
All right, awesome. Thank you guys. Yeah, so I think Corey, you mentioned scope creep. So can you tell me what scope creep is and how you guys made the decision to cut down the scope of your app?
Scope creep refers to adding additional features or components on to any project, not just software development, but any project. You start out with trying to create a minimum viable product, and you say, "Oh, this would be neat to add," and "Oh, this would be kind of cool." And before you know it, you've got a whole bunch of features, and you risk losing sight of the original goals of your project. And we recognize that mainly when we were exploring the APIs, and we realized that the APIs weren't appropriate. They were inadequate for what we wanted to do, and that's why we decided to create our own API. And it was also at that time that we realized that we needed to, because we were going to do that we needed to focus then on one API instead of trying to create multiple APIs for different projects or for different products.
Actually, we got a new term or another term from Jordan. It's kind of inside baseball, but does anyone know what yak shaving is?
I come from Tibetan yaks and trying to shave a yak, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah, I imagine it's very hard to do. Yeah, so it refers to when you have one problem and then you get into that, and then you realize it's actually caused by another problem. So you get into that and you realize it's actually caused by another problem. Yeah, thanks, Jordan. Cool. And one more question is, since you guys decided to design your own API and make it publicly available to other developers, did you have any models from other APIs in mind, or any experience using others that influenced your design?
Yeah. So the original API that we were going to draw our T information from was we thought was good, but it had a lot of missing information. And I think that like photos were missing from it. Some of the descriptions for the T were just not there, and it was kind of disorganized. So that was part of what Corey was speaking to in terms of like scope creep. We sort of got to a point where we realized, in order to make this API complete, we had to put in a lot more work. So yeah, we chose to do our own because we had more control and we could create all the different things that we needed on it. And Phil may have something else to say.
Yeah, I think you covered it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys.